Hello and welcome to the Addicition show with Dr. Chris Steffen.
And I'm your resident RN, Jim Merrickson.
And welcome, Grant McDonald. Grant's hiding.
Grant's hiding on it.
Good day, welcome to the Great White North. Be sure you get your thinking toques on, because this might be a fun ride.
Tonight we're going to start over costume distressing. And as you know, or may not know, in Canada, they don't have a lot of things available to them that we do in the States. So the Canucks, is that what you're called?
Yeah.
Have had to be very, very creative in what they've had to do. So without further ado, oh, and Troy will try to come in here and there, but, you know, he's a hoser.
And please post your comments on Facebook. And hopefully I can see them on YouTube. But please post them on the Addicition page.
Jim's having a little bit of audio trouble tonight, but be sure to post your questions either on Facebook or YouTube. It's a little easier for us to follow Facebook, but if you want to post on YouTube, please feel free to do so. So let's go ahead and get started. Grant, welcome.
Hi guys, how you guys doing? How's it going? Hey.
It's build season.
Yeah, well, it was almost frosty today. It was like 3 degrees Celsius up north this morning.
3 degrees Celsius?
3 degrees Celsius up north this morning when I went to work.
You are freezing.
Not yet. Just about. Zero's freezing up here.
Yeah. So 3 degrees Celsius would be what translated into Fahrenheit?
I have no idea on Fahrenheit. You guys are the only ones that are backwards.
We're not backwards.
Are you sure we're the ones that are backwards?
I won't go there. Won't touch that. Yeah, I'll just introduce myself. My name's Grant. I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I've been a costume designer, and an actual costume designer. I can put that on my resume because I designed costumes for a mascot company and things like that. So the 2012 Olympic game mascots that you've seen maybe on some of the Olympic things, I had to do with. I designed the one specifically called Kwachi for the 2012 Olympic Games. That's my background for designing wise that I got into. And that was just kind of fluke, really, getting into that kind of thing.
Wow.
So what are some of the things that you guys have? Like, I know one of our conversations that we had early on was, you know, cheese grater, but what are some of the things that you guys that you use to do some of your distressing that you've seen that we've done here in the States but don't have, you guys can't get there?
It really depends. I mean, we just don't have the same availability for things like latex, that kind of thing. We have to really hunt for those kind of items or get them when, or specialty stores. There's only a couple costume stores that carry that kind of thing, or even specialty products, that kind of thing. So you got to think really outside of the box when you're costuming. What are you looking for? And that comes down to what your character and character design is all about. If you don't have a character design, that's a hard starting point if you don't got anywhere to go to. You know, you have to start with that character design. What do you want to be? Where do you want to go? There's so many genres you can touch upon, and each genre has a specific thing maybe attached to them. And if you don't maybe follow, like steampunk is one of those specific genres that's very, everybody thinks, oh, you can put gears on this. Well, it doesn't quite work that way. You know, it has to be, it looks like a functional piece of equipment. That's what kind of steampunk is more about. And I made one a long time ago out of a Nerf gun. And I'm sure everybody's kind of seen one of these before. But this was a Nerf gun that I designed. And it's all out of just basic products that I found around. This was a lightsaber at one time from a kid's lightsaber things. These are hair to curl your hair with. Inside here, these are hair curlers. So all sorts of different things, products that may look like something that's out of the box or something that's steampunk-ish or something functional. That's what I try and do, and that's kind of the genre depending on what you want to go with.
Can you show us how you have done some of your stuff? I know, like I think it was the zombie costume you were showing us with the underwear.
Sure, yeah. Well, of course.
Underwear folks, they make a great costume.
Of course, in Canada, we have lots of long underwear. Just, that's just the way it works. So this specific costume here is made out of long underwear, and you can see the inside of it. It is still long underwear. So inside of it, I just had a long underwear shirt. It's long sleeve. What I did with this specific costume, to make it more skin-like and appear just, out of the grave kind of thing, is I hot glued material to it. And I may have some of this material you may have seen. It's basically burlap.
Oh, okay.
It's a burlap material, kind of, almost, sort of. You can use spider webs. I think I used a little bit of spider webbing and this kind of stuff. But this type of material is the best because it comes apart in strings and you can pull it apart. And it takes some time to pull it apart, but it's worth it because these strings can have that great, great old texture. This has been sitting in my backyard in the sun and got sun bleached for a while. That's also a good thing. Let nature do it for you. Let it sit out in the sun and hot things, and it, like, this stuff will come apart like in no time now because it's been sitting in the sun. It just easily shreds. So I mean, let nature do some of it for you. If you want to go that far into your costumes, well, you're gonna have to take some time to do it. This, after I did with this, basically I hot glued, basically, or even spray glued some of the material to the backing or the front of the shirt or whatever material. It doesn't have to even be long underwear. It was just what I chose because it's Canada and I had it. Really. After that, I took some mask latex. I'm not sure if it's a specific latex, but it's made for mask. It takes a little bit longer drying time than latex, normal latex. I was lucky enough to get that, and I basically hung it on a big post, stretched it across, and just latexed the whole thing with a paintbrush. Just dipped the paintbrush in latex and just went to town on it. And after a while, I just started picking parts apart. This thing has probably been surviving Canadian tundra for about 6 or 7 years now. It hasn't moved. Nothing's fallen off of it. Yeah, it's pretty durable.
Wow.
So
what do you wear it multiple times, right?
Yeah, I've used it for multiple zombie costumes underneath stuff because this had a chest piece coming out of it. So I blended it with a lot of different things for different types of costumes because it was so multi-purpose. I could use it for a lot of different things, and it just had that nice, cool texture. After it was all glued down, then I just made the holes and stuff in it just to make it a little bit more airy. Just because I went to this in the West Coast Haunters where it was warmer, of course. So I made it for a bunch of different climates after a while. So yeah, it just kind of worked out that well.
And when you're wearing it as much as it has, what do you do when, I mean, come on, you wear it, you sweat in it, it gets smelly. How do you get it kind of to not be so smelly?
There's specific athletic Febreze almost kind of stuff that you can put in for athletic equipment. specifically like hockey equipment. Well, that's what we use. Hockey equipment stinks like a mother, and you know, we use that specific spray for any kind of hockey equipment that goes inside of hockey bags, that kind of thing. It gets rid of pretty much any stink that's involved. Yeah. So and I didn't find that anywhere. I just kind of made it up on my own. Just by latex even falling on your shirt. I'm sure everybody's done that or had you know, anything fall on your shirt. Of course.
Latex.
Great stuff. Well,
great stuff. Yep, great stuff.
Great stuff, and get a great texture for things on material because it sticks to it. Certain material sticks more because it's more pliable. Polyesters, things like that, don't always work so well. That's why a good cotton blend. Again, the long underwear also had a texture to it already for that dead skin look, so that was a bonus. Just it had that natural dead look to it already. I didn't have to do much to it other than airbrush it afterwards. So after it was all done, I took an airbrush to it and just started airbrushing where I thought highlights and lowlights would be. And again, it was still on a frame stick. I think it was probably a hockey stick even, probably.
So by doing the latex first, you said, I believe, that you use a brush. Did you put it on kind of thick? And do you find that the latex might actually help kind of waterproof it?
Yeah, absolutely. Latex is that way anyways. And like I said, it survived Canadian tundra, which is -5-ish. Snow, sleet, hail, you name it, I have seen it. In a 24-hour span, I have seen Mother Nature crap on my parade way too many times.
Wow.
Yeah. Like from full sun to -22 in a good 24-hour period. I kid you not. It was +10 one day and -22 the next day. Celsius.
This is
Don't get afraid, Americans. When he's speaking in terms of temperature, he's speaking in Celsius, which, you know, the lower the number,
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Once you hit -40 Celsius, it's -40 even across the board. So you can kind of judge -20-ish by that kind of temperature in Fahrenheit, I guess. It's fun. It's been a challenge.
Grant was saying earlier today that it was 3 degrees Celsius this morning, and that would probably translate into probably 36 to somewhere between 36 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So
Yes.
It's still pretty much, you know, it's cold.
It's just starting to get
It's cold.
It's just that we're just putting our hoodies on now. I'm wearing my special hoodie, of course.
Of course you were. I mean, hey, Grant, I'm with you, buddy, right here. We're representing Northwest Hunters Association.
Yeah, gotcha. So I mean, I grew up in a different environment and things like that. So I've tried to multi-plan and stuff like that. Things like mascots and things like that. This is a mascot head, so it's a totally different scenario when you start designing this kind of stuff. So I went from the low-level stuff to designing full-scale mascots for all the NFL teams that you have in that and stuff. So this kind of system is a lot different. I'll just show you a little bit about it. It has a helmet insert inside, so a person's face is actually, his vision is right through the mouth. So when they wear this mascot head, it basically goes right over top of your head, and you have it. That's it. You have this for vision.
Wow.
Some of them have fan systems inside of it. This maybe had one in the back of the head, behind the hair, somewhere where the fan system blows on top of the costume performer. This is how Disney does their stuff. Not quite the same, but pretty damn close. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what is the outside? I mean, is that like a foam or something that you use to
The
create
interior material is made out of basically a foam. It's a closed cell foam. It's a half-inch closed cell foam. You can see the inside maybe a little bit there.
that? Okay.
It's a half-inch, what is called closed cell, or it's a little bit denser. I think they use it for a lot of automotive things.
Like an upholstery foam.
Yeah, almost a little bit. It's a little denser than it, and basically you make triangle shapes to form the head form, and you make little triangles, and then you go into the details of the nose and the eyes and stuff like that. So everything's based around the human form, and this was a specific character. I'm probably going to make this into a big Chucky because it's perfect. Isn't that creepy for a Chucky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How long did it take you to make something like that, Grant?
The mascot head?
Uh-huh.
Depends on the design. Each mascot head was specific to the company that designed it. So they always came in and did design checks on you and things like that. Something like a mascot head would probably take about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the design criterias of the mascot head. And again, they were specific designs. They had specific things to them. I remember doing things for a lot of the Warner Brother characters, especially. You know, they were specific. They had specific everything. So it was tricky to do those kinds of things for sure, and a lot of detail work that you had to spend a lot of time thinking about things. So you have to almost design half of the costume first. They would do a design half of the costume. You would reproduce that other half on the other side, and you wouldn't probably do it all in one full face because it would take too much time. So you only did half of the face. Once they did the final check of that half of the face, then you can do the other side. It was very, very tricky.
Wow.
Yeah.
What else do you have? What is the other outfit over there? Is that another zombie type? Now, we've talked about that one too, and that one's quite unique. The one right up here towards the front.
This one here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of really interesting parts to create that.
Yeah, this is more of almost a steampunk kind of thing, but this whole costume is a Mr. Freeze costume. And I kind of redesigned the whole steampunk thing into a frost punk, because when Mr. Freeze goes into the steam, guess what happens? So I designed this whole back. This is a back piece. It's a chest piece that goes onto it. All of this is reused equipment from everything. Filters for clogging your drain. Like when you're unclogging your drain, you put those little things. That's what these are. These are water gun or plastic toys, I think. I can't even remember half of the stuff that I made on here because it's just multiples of whatever looked kind of interesting and scientific or sci-fi, frozen. Doing this kind of thing, it took a lot of time. This has been a long year project. It started out as a totally different character. I think there's one posted on the design pages of the actual Mr. Freeze when it first started. It's changed since then, and again, I went with that steampunk look that is very popular now, but totally redesigned it my own thing and made it frost looking. So everything is looking like it's frozen solid. Doing that took a lot of hot glue. This is all just hot glue dripping. A lot of hot glue work in here and just fine detailing with a fine brush. Very, very picky detailing kind of stuff. Cat toys. Yeah, you name it, it's probably on here. It's dollar store. This is pretty much dollar store stuff. Everything found at a dollar store.
Now, I would have never thought about using like your water guns or your squirt gun type things.
So this is the front piece. Again, I've worked a bit on the front of it. So I'm just redesigning it again. I found these little cool motifs. I think they were at a thrift store, that kind of thing, thrift store materials. Then I made a chest piece that fits onto it that's going to glow. And this is on a magnet. So the magnet is here in the center. I have to redesign it a little bit because I put this flaring in. But the magnet is basically going to stick this center chest piece onto this.
Oh, wow.
Like that. So the whole chest piece is, it might interlock a little bit. Oh, there it goes. It interlocked a little bit. So everything's kind of taken apart so I can fit it inside a suitcase, which most of my products have been since I've gone to the West Coast Haunters convention. My suitcase is a Halloween costume. That's it. I don't bring any. My carry-on is my luggage and shit. My suitcase is a Halloween costume, and this is why.
Talk about your piece, because again, you need some really interesting things to create.
Okay. Sure. Yep. This is an interesting one because it's totally started off as something totally that you would not probably recognize from this piece here to what it originally started as. It started as basically a shelving unit for a shower curtain. Like you hang them on your shower to put all your knickknacks and in here.
Yeah.
That's what this started out as. It was a knickknack rack. Inside here, this is, I have to try and think of all the parts I put into this. For car detailing, when it had that swirl, it was one of those flow bees or whatever the hell it was for detailing your car. It had a brush system on it so that would spin the brush. I was trying to make it work to see if I could make it spin inside to make it actually crank over and turn, but that took way too much time. Brush. Inside here, this is a plastic sheeting and just parts of electrical parts from cars. More squirt guns, hair for your hair curlers on the side, cat toys, some accenting from dollar store. Again, mostly dollar store stuff. Yeah, just way outside the box of looking at. And again, hot glue dripping to make all the frozen stuff. Christmas lights, because I thought they were cool to accent it with some lighting. Why not? Add some coolness to it. Yeah, make it frozen.
Oh, icicle light.
Yeah, icicle lights. Yep. You betcha. So, yeah, there was a whole different realm from that to that.
Wow.
Way outside the box thinking.
So yeah, because it's like everything that you're using are things that, you know, maybe the home hunters or, you know, maybe even some of the pro hunters wouldn't be thinking when they're looking at something. Like I would have never thought to use a shower caddy for designing something for a costume.
They were originally on the side of my pants. For the original thing, they were on the side of my pants like this for some bulky material because I wanted that Arnold Schwarzenegger look to my first initial costume. Like I said, it's gone a whole different direction now to steampunk and trying to steampunk it and frostpunk it, which doesn't exist till now.
No, you definitely created that whole new look.
Yeah.
And you have a couple other things in the back there too. What else do you have for us, Grant?
Some of the things that, you know, I've done before. This was a pirate costume, and sticking again things. Oops.
I didn't do it.
Sticking materials that are pirate. Again, I wanted to find a pirate theme because everybody was doing pirates at one time. So I found materials that you can find at stores that, you know, dead materials, This is Christmas ornamentation again. Chains. Everything's hot glued on here. Nothing is stuck down for sure. And some of it has come off over time. But the coolest part of this costume is the back of it. It has a ship wheel sticking out of the back of the costume.
How did you do that?
The ship wheel is a plastic ship wheel that I found at one of those penny stores, I think even a dollar store kind of thing. It had a ship wheel kind of thing attached to it. I stuck foam inside of it. I glued the foam inside of the plastic, and then stuck the plastic on the foam to the back of the jacket. So this whole thing was just one jacket that I found at a thrift store. Again, then this material again is that that foam material, closed cell foam that the mascots are made of. So I got that free, and then I just designed a pattern that looked like rock or coral, and stuck it out of the back, making it look like the ship wheel was sticking out of the character. There is a Disney character, and I did research it even before I went into that costume, called Wheelback, and he is a Disney character called Wheelback. So I did a little bit of research on him and found that, yeah, he had a ship wheel sticking out of the back. So everything is just hot glued on, basically in pieces, chunks of foam material stuck down, and then additional. I think this one is even glows in black light. So I sprayed it with some black light.
One of the things that you continually say is that you hot glue it on. Yep. Do you find that the hot glue really does adhere to the fabric well, or are you having, if you're wearing a costume that has a lot of hot glue, are you finding that through the night things are falling off and you're having to continually put it on?
No, I mean, sometimes, I mean, the odd thing, I mean, especially this stuff it's gonna catch, depending on the material, because this is corduroy, it had a lot of grooves inside of it. So the hot glue would stick inside of that groove material. So again, some things do fall off, and that's just over time. I've worn this costume, I don't know how many times, and crawled around and stuff. So it all depends what you're doing with the costume. Again, hot glue is just a resource that I had. I didn't want to sew it on. I didn't want to spend the time doing every nitpick, and people will do that. I'm not that guy. I like to do it fast. I like to do it easy and make my costumes cheap and affordable. I'll hot glue it on. This is a seashell, and I'll pull on it. I'm holding the seashell on the whole costume right now with hot glue.
Wow. And that's just a just a normal hot glue, right? It's not a
normal hot glue, not anything special that you would get. Just normal hot glue, because it gets into those grooves. I'm sure everybody's spilt hot glue on their shirt before. It ain't coming out of there too easy. So yeah, and just trying to make the whole costume flow all the way around, 3D all the way around.
Nice.
So lots of research on your costumes. Where do you want to go with things? It's more people are getting into the cosplay kind of things. That's a whole realm I haven't really touched upon a lot, because it deals with a lot of different things.
But the theme is, I mean, you know, really, we in the Halloween industry, we really joke about Christmas.
Yep.
But really, thinking outside the box, look at some of the things that they put out for Christmas, because some of those things can be turned into what you need to create for a Halloween costume or a decoration or whatever else. I mean, it's really just thinking across the board.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've kind of had to do that just because, again, we don't have the same resources as the United States does, and I just went with whatever I had available to me. That's the way I was taught. My mom was that way. I mean, you know, growing up that way, we just always had homemade costumes and stuff like that. I think I maybe had 2 department store costumes in my entire life that I can remember of. And one was earlier on, and one was a Darth Vader that everybody was wearing.
Right. Well, and I know that Patricia Langston is watching on our YouTube, and she wants to know, what is your favorite costume that you made for yourself?
For myself, right now, it's probably, God, that's a good question. I mean, made so many. That's a tough one. The most one I'm proud of course, is the 2012 Olympic ones. I don't think that I can get beyond the Olympics, really.
Yeah,
In life,
that's a big one.
got too much further to go. I think that's my crowning achievement of all time, really, is being part of that.
Wow.
And Harold Kynes has got a question. How do you clean them?
Clean my costumes.
Yeah.
Again, spray things that you get, equipment spray things. You spray them and you hang them. They do it naturally. Those natural sprays that you can get for any kind of hockey equipment or equipment across the board, they make specialty sprays to take care of that stench and stink. I mean, realistically, does it really matter in a haunt? You want to stink.
Yeah.
But I mean, natural odors, of course, sure. You're going to want to go underneath the armpits and stuff of people's costumes because different characters are wearing them. Sure, absolutely. You have to take care of those kinds of things because different people are wearing them. People might be a bit more touchy about those kinds of problems in your haunt, that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. Those kind of natural sprays you can get to disinfect things. The bowling shoe spray, shit, yeah, that's the best stuff on the market because it's a natural disinfectant. It's made and designed to do that kind of stuff.
So with I mean, you've talked about how you've designed a lot of costumes for people.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still doing that? I mean, if somebody wanted you to build them a costume or design one for them, could they contact you to do that?
You know what? I've never designed anything but for myself, really. I don't know. That'd be a good question really have to think about. I've never really designed for anybody else but myself. Just because I was in the industry of making them, it's tough because people want different things. You know what? I wouldn't be opposed to it whatsoever. But what I do maybe not be the professional look that you want. I mean, I am a professional because I do it for a living, you know what I mean? But in the respect of what I do, it's all just bodging stuff together, really. I don't know how to answer that. Absolutely, sure. If somebody wants to contact me and build them a costume, yeah, but it might be not exactly what they're thinking. That's the realm of costuming. You have to have a certain vision of what you want before ahead of time. And so that's the tough part.
Right. What if you can, do you want to show us maybe some things that you do? Maybe show us something, how to distress something?
Sure, I can do that. A lot of distressing has to come up with a certain point in your starting point. And this is a certain costume that I made a long time ago. It's been ran through the gamut a couple times. And again, there's certain things I don't like about it. And so now I can upgrade it a little bit now, knowing more things. So what I did with this particular costume, and it's a store-bought costume. It's a Confederate Army costume. I think it was a spear or one of the higher end costumes. And because it's higher end, it has inner materials in it that are better, quality-wise anyways, that I've found. And a lot of the department store ones don't have that. So a lot of the maybe higher end 80 to, I'm talking Canadian dollars, 80 to $100 range costumes are better quality because they're just made out of better materials. So you can find those certain finds maybe in a store somewhere, a Value Village or whatever. So what I did with this costume to start out with, again, got different products that you can find at most thrift stores, zombie parts from those piece of crap zombie costumes that they have that are just stuck on. Woohoo! Yay! I stuck it in behind the costume. And how I did that is basically I stapled, or not stapled. You can staple it because hot glue does not stick to latex.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, it will not stick to latex at all. It just will melt off. So I tried it a couple times, and you can see it on the back here. That this is the hot glue here. I tried to stick it to the latex. It will not. It does not stick to latex. It will not stick. So even doing it a couple times, it took a while to figure that out. So I knew that was a fail. What I had to do was make a pocket and just inserted the skeleton thing inside the pocket. But what I would do is contact cement this and whatever piece of fabric you have to the back of the costume. Contact cement will stick to both materials and things like that. So what I did was basically took that and flipped it inside the costume to make it look more zombie appearing. Then started distressing and cutting out parts, ripping out parts where I wanted it. That kind of. I didn't paint any of this. Sure, you can go do more detailing, and I probably would now, is redetail the inside of this a little bit better. Maybe. We'll see. It depends. Do you need?
Yeah, that's teeth, right?
What's that?
That is teeth there, right?
Here?
Uh-huh.
No, it's the same thing as this. This is a zombie chest.
Oh, okay.
This is the half part of the chest. This is just the other half that was on the other side.
Hey, so, I like the idea of teeth right there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be whatever you want. I mean, this is a good thing to show how I did this. I basically cut the hole out. Then I would position the zombie piece in here if I wanted to, and then work around that design. Go around that. Because it was easy and affordable. I could do it cheaply. I wanted that zombie look. I didn't have to wear a lot of prosthetics on my own body. This was way before I built the long underwear. So what this became afterwards, I did the long underwear through here. So that long underwear that you showed was underneath this piece. So I didn't have to do much more to the costume other than wear the long underwear, put this in between it. But for today's demonstration, you know, I'm going to do this. I'll attach this on, distress it a little bit. Distressing things, you can do different things. And I just heard about this today, cheese grater. That's your best friend now. That's my best friend now. I didn't hear about that before because I never knew about it. What I was using before was just basically
it's a specific cheese grater I think that we need to show. It's the 4-way that I was telling Grant about, and this is something that Dr. Ramsey uses a lot in his classes to distress costumes because there's so many different things on here that you can use.
Yeah. So I mean, distressing things takes a little bit of time, of course. You know, more time you spend on a costume, it's better it's going to look. You don't want to go overboard too. You don't want to, you know, have to do too much or do overdo it because it'll look not great afterwards. So with the cheese grater, you can just, and I like to put it on a good backing board. This is just some old, you know, material that I have around home. I take the cheese grater and just start working hard. It doesn't matter. Just start pulling away at it. It'll start to eat away some of the cloth. Different materials will do different things. Again, the corduroys and things like that, they're going to take a little bit more time because they're more durable than this cheesy stuff that they make. So to make these bigger holes, of course, or take a knife, carve out all the bigger holes. You can even just start scoring stuff with the knife even. And making holes like that. You take the cheese grater to some of that afterwards. and it'll start ripping it apart big time. So that's how easy distressing pretty much is to take materials, rough them up. Some people I've heard even taking chains and beating the wood with it, or you know, leaving it buried for a while. That even does it too.
I've even heard of people dragging behind a car.
Yep, yep. You take chains, you weight chains on the back piece of this, and you drag it. You find your country road somewhere, and you tie it to the back of your bumper, and you go for a ride. And
yeah,
guess what's going to happen to that piece of cloth? It's going to get beat up pretty big time in probably a very little short span of time, because all of that weight of the chains is dragging against this piece of cloth. On the natural things are kind of cool, and they have that.
And you actually get that, you know, because of it being on, you know, depending on what kind of road you're on, you kind of get that. It dirties it up too, so it's less.
After I do this, and even before I started all of this stuff, I started spray painting, because a lot of materials, they'll take dyeing and all that kind of stuff to do certain things with materials. I just took some spray paint, or even if you have an airbrush, you can airbrush certain spots. Again, underneath the armpits, that's the heavy staining spot. You can do more things underneath the armpit areas, or where there's more sweating involved. That's where you want to keep those darker areas maybe condensed a little bit more, as in those sweaty areas of the costume that are natural. Try and keep your things more natural appealing, because that's the way it works. When you rot, you start to rot in certain places. Again, get research materials. Look at something that online that you want to go with. Follow a certain design, and you know, it's very easy to start distressing things. After a while, you can take natural paints, even acrylic paints, if you want to do certain things. And
do you water your acrylics down at all, or do you use them just straight from the bottle?
And depending on what you want to do, again with the costume, again with material, but since it's going to take that and just any water that you add to certain materials, yeah, it's just going to soak it up. So certain materials will do less. So you can start in certain areas, just start dragging highlights or lowlights into these materials, just so it looks like there's something more happening in your design, rather than just, oh, he distressed it a little bit. There's some decay happening in the material, or some ooze, you know, coming out of here. So certain colors you want to keep more natural looking as well. To a zombie, all natural colors. You don't want to go bright colors at all.
Right.
So you want to go more earth tones, reds, things like that. And again, great stuff is going to be your best friend with this. It's pretty cool just to great stuff it. Make sure that your latex glove, get your great stuff, just squirt it in your hand. And just smear it on your costume. And the smearing, what it'll do is make that lichen that people talk about in graveyards. Lichen is basically a mold. And if you've been in a graveyard, and of course he's been here a while because he's Civil War, well, he's been there, he's been dead quite a while. Again, keep that in perspective of when you're costuming. What is your genre? How long has he been buried for? Well, Civil War he's been buried for a while, so he's going to have a lot of stuff. So yeah, once this part is done, all the lichen you can start to highlight with the lichen tones, which are more orangey, yellows, reds, even like rusty colors if you want. Those kinds of things you can dry brush them onto where these like in art, to make your costume more interesting, more detailed, those kinds of things. After that, I would take some of that material that I showed before. You can even get just general moss, you know, Spanish moss, whatever you like. After that, and start hot gluing it into place. Again, hot glue is your best friend in my world. That's like duct tape. So I would go into some of these areas and just stick some moss in, hot glue them in, just from the nice additional things that you can put in. You can get some
I always
water.
keep a cup of ice cold water next to me when I.
Yep, pretty much. I didn't bring water with me, so my tongue has to do the work today. No comment from the funny farm.
Yeah, Jim, did you get that? No comment.
So, I mean, you can start to layer. Once you start to layer in pieces, it gives your whole costume a whole different appearance just by adding little things and distressing them, pulling things apart with general materials that you can find in your house. Again, dollar store materials that you can get. It makes that appearance that there's something underneath the costume, not just something on top. Layers upon layers upon layers. Every additional layer you add to your costume, the more appearance, more depth it has. So if you add those layers, it gives that appearance of more depth to your costume, even though there's only not even a half-inch of material there. It looks like there's more than a half an inch of material. And again, you can go in with darker tones and all of this stuff and really sink it back, so there's things like that. That's basically my kind of version of distressing costumes and using things that are kind of around the house, dollar store materials.
And reiterating again to not, you know, to just think outside the box, things that you wouldn't normally think of using works great.
Genre specific. Again, pirates, genre specific. Steampunk, genre specific. You know, think about those little details when you're going into costuming. Genre specific. What genre are you picking at? Are you going into the 1920s sci-fi? Are you going into the more steampunk kind of thing? All of those genres have certain keys to what the details are. Zombies are kind of one of those, but there are genres of zombies as well. So there's a whole different gamut of things that you can get into. But to get maybe award-winning costumes, it's all in the details, I guess, mainly, or having that specific character that's already pre-planned into what you go into.
I love FX Makeup is saying, where is the banana bread and the tequila?
Yeah.
Oh, and Jim, of course, is responding to everybody take a shot.
Right.
Alrighty.
Shot.
A shot of what?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Okay.
I've got beer.
So, I mean, there's so many specifics that people can get into when they start the costuming. And again, things out read all the outside of the box. This is part of the Mr. Freeze costume. This was a container that holds children's toys. Again, it had the cool look that I was looking for, so now it fits on my head like Mr. Freeze. So looking for things that are way outside the box but may fit your costume, what you want to look for. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to get this across the border.
Well, you may get it across the border, but you may not get it back.
Well, no. That hasn't happened yet because every time I go there, I have not been searched, but yeah, there's probably some certain questions that happen. Yep.
As with any haunter who is traveling with anything, I mean, I can tell you when I went to Chicago Frights, my suitcases were searched every time. Could have had to do with the skeletons and some other interesting things in there. I don't know, a couple scalpels and some other stuff, but every single time they were searched. So when I came back from Chicago, I put a little note in my suitcase that said, you know, have fun searching my underwear.
Pretty much. I have nothing to hide. I mean, everything, like I said, everything in my suitcase is a Halloween costume. And I just go ahead, open it because they put, what's this? Halloween costume. What's this? Halloween costume. So yeah, I literally went through that gamut of, they searched everything, and literally everything in my bag was a Halloween costume. They just looked at me and they just shook their heads after a while. I don't know what they were thinking after that point, because I think that's when I brought, I think it was the pirate costume. Yeah, I think it was the pirate costume, and there was multiple levels of the pirate costume because it had all the seashells on it. Maybe that had something to do with it. But I bought those seashells in Canada from a store. So I don't know. If they wanted to take it, they could have it. I could have made another one.
Is there anything that, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Best way is through Facebook. I'm associated with the Canadian Haunters Association mainly. Facebook, Grant McDonald.
You have two though. Yeah,
I do have two. One is my one is my I Haunt You for my Halloween main thing. I never got around to changing, and Facebook was being a bunch of, you know, douches about it. So I just never got around to changing my actual I Haunt You yard haunt. And now that I'm kind of done, I don't know if I need to. I am retiring after this year of my decorating and things like that. I had multiple jobs at sometimes. Not only was I designing mascots, but I also worked for a company that made and designed things for the golf experiences that you have in the United States as well. They're called Shanks. They're the blacklight golf systems. So I did that for a living as well. So I did a lot of crazy jobs in the industry, basically, you know, mini golf industry, costuming industry, and things like that. So I got involved really early on in life with a lot of that stuff. So I was lucky, I guess, to have that.
And do you have anything else that you want to share with us before we open it up for others to come in and go off air?
No, other than, you know, like I said, when you're costuming, just be specific. Find your character. You have to evolve that character first. Like I said, my costumes have evolved. This costume now is probably going on 6 or 7 years now. So it's evolving. It evolves all the time because you learn different tips and tricks from don't ever stop learning. Really, don't ever stop learning, because I'm learning all the time. Like I said, the cheese grater thing, hallelujah, brother. I'm good with that. So that's cool. So and then
the other thing that Dr. Ramsey really likes to use is a serrated knife.
Yep. Yep.
So, you know, and while I'm thinking about it, have you ever heard of, and I've not done this, but I've heard of people taking like their materials that they're going to use to make costumes and actually burying it in the ground for a year until you use it.
Yeah, I have heard of that. I almost wanted to try it one time. I think you have to get the material wet in order for it to mold a little bit or something to the material. So that's going to create some kind of chemical reaction in the soil. Again, materials are different. Polyesters and stuff may not do the same certain type of things that other materials will, because They are just designed differently. Silks definitely probably will not rot. Things like that. You have to be specific about what you bury because it probably doesn't react the same way chemically wise in the ground. Just be careful about that. What you bury may not turn out the same way because of the material that you're using.
Right, and it could actually even ruin the material to where it's not usable.
Well, to a certain point, you can't bury it too long because nature just works in a mysterious way that you have no control of. And you don't know what you're going to get into once you start burying stuff because that's out of your control. That's a whole. So you're going to have to check it every 1 month or two. Is it the right style? I've heard people burying it for years and then they come out with, well, there's nothing left because guess what? Mother Nature took control of it, and that's out of your control. You have no idea what it's going to do until you have to constantly look at it. I don't know if that's a great idea because you can get the same things from just doing roughing it up on unnaturally, really, or just the cheese grater, or dragging it on the stones, behind your truck. Well, that's natural. It's
well, using even brick on your house or on a pathway, that the rough edges on the brick will also help.
Anything that has a natural kind of roughness to it, you can take a material to it and rub it across it. Absolutely. Yep.
Well, we're going to go ahead and end our live broadcast here in just a minute. We'll post the live link on our Haunt Addiction show page, so feel free to come in. I'd like to take the time to thank Jim for being here. Oh, Troy, you suck. And Grant.
Oh, Troy, wait. Troy always sucks.
He's a whole lot of swallow, not a suck.
Whoa! Well, I didn't go there.
He's a whole lot of swallow, not the suck.
I'd like to thank Grant for joining us. And
I tried.
If you guys have
my best friend, Brian, you know it.
If you guys have any other questions, be sure to post them on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, and we'll be sure to get you the answers. And the same is, if you guys have any ideas for shows on things that you want to learn, please go to our Facebook page, Haunt Addiction Show. Let us know, because this show is for you. Thank you, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Cheers, eh?